maybe one day you wonder what it would be like to live in the soil. And I think that would be quite an interesting experience, because soil is so radically different from what you know and what you experience on a daily basis as being human. So soil, first of all, is probably the most intensely 3D structured environment there is, because pores and solids are arranged in a very complicated 3D matrix, and the pores are filled either with water or soil atmosphere, and that makes up just an incredibly complex 3D matrix that I think is second to none. So if you find yourself in this matrix, I think it will be quite a different experience. Like, for example, if you're an animal and you have to navigate these pore spaces, I think that would be quite a freaky experience to be in that position. Well, the second thing about soil is that it doesn't matter what you look like, because it's dark. Nobody's going to see it. There's no light, maybe except for the very top of the soil. But other than that, it's just dark. So visual cues play almost no role. Instead, communication works via chemistry. So we also, of course, have some chemistry in our communication, like we smell of this food or are repelled by other odors. But you can imagine this is exactly what it would be like to live in the soil. You're just guided by your chemical senses, and there's no visual cues. Most of the time we think soil is also completely quiet, which could be true, but it also might be that soil organisms can perceive sounds and vibrations in ways that currently completely escape us, and we're just at the very beginning of thinking about this as a possibility. So it's possible soil is quiet, but maybe there's also some vibrations that organisms can perceive. And another feature of soil is that the atmosphere is virtually always basically completely water saturated, basically 99% relative humidity, even if soil is so dry that normal crop plants die. The relative humidity is still super high, and that's simply because in soil there is no wind. So instead, the pore spaces are always lined with surfaces, and the surfaces are always covered with a thin film of water that always evaporates. So basically you grow up in a completely water saturated atmosphere. It's also a major difference from our experience here. Also, the atmosphere in soil is completely different from the atmosphere above ground. It's much higher in CO2 because of respiration of organisms, and because that CO2 is not efficiently flushed out of the soil. So the atmosphere is quite different, and also soil water is very special water, because it's there's a number of forces that act on that water, like solutes and sort of adhesion and cohesion forces. And maybe one of the most amazing things about living in soil is that most likely you are quite small. Most of the organisms by far are bacteria, maybe viruses. And when you're that small, you experience your environment in radically different ways. This is called life at low Reynolds number. So when you're that small, basically your environment is completely viscous. So even air basically takes on a viscous quality. And forces that seem trivial to you and I, like the surface tension of water, where you just like this and you have overcome the surface tension of water, that is actually a force that is extremely difficult to overcome. It's so strong when you are that small. And this is a world basically in which there is no inertia. So imagine you throw a ball, and as soon as you stop the movement of your hand to throw that ball is still in your hand. It has not moved on at all. So imagine you're a motile organism and flagella and you move around. The moment you stop your flagella, you stop. There is no coasting along. And that's also just an amazing difference of, being small, and of course many things in soil are small. So there's something very much relevant to soil. And that basically is sort of a very brief overview of what it would be like to live in the soil jungle. It's a crazy place. Oh boy, that video was something, huh? So if you liked it, don't forget to hit like and remember to subscribe to this channel. See ya.